Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm very glad to be able to talk with Mohit Lodha. He is the founder of Takumi, which is an AI consulting startup. He actually built it very recently, after 20 years, spending 20 years in marketing, working in agency and on the brand side. So today, we're going to talk about the impact of AI on marketing. Yeah? So how are you?
Thank you, Margot. Thanks for having me. I'm very well.
Yeah. You've spent 20 years in marketing and in digital transformation. So how would you describe the moment you realized that AI was really going to have an impact on marketing?
Yeah. So, Margot, I think there was a time when marketing was about craft and crazy ideas and all of that, and it still is. But over a period of time, we've seen the dawn of digital data and how we got so excited about dashboards, right? So when AI dawned upon us, and especially since the time ChatGPT came on the board,
Yeah.
right? So the kind of quality of insights and the content it was delivering, I think what excited me was not just the speed, but also the clarity and the quality of it. So what I realized was that AI wasn't just replacing marketing and marketers; it was actually supercharging it. I realized this is going to be a disruptive force.
Yeah.
For years, right? So we've had the industrial revolution, right? So, and I call we call AI the new electricity. So it's going to supercharge marketers in a way which is we haven't seen before. And it's going to supercharge creativity. It's going to lead and liberate marketers to be more creative than they ever were.
Yeah, very interesting. I like the fact that you use the word supercharge. It makes a lot of sense. So if we jump directly into the future, let's say, for you, what will marketing look like in like 5 to 10 years? You know, a lot of people would say in 5, 10 years, we'll have agents talking together, so marketing will be completely different. Do you believe in this, or do you have a different vision? Like, what do you think it's gonna become?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think great points there, Margot. I believe that marketing will cease to exist as a department, but more as a fluid organism, right?
Yeah.
Driven by human intuition and machine precision. So yes, definitely there will be lots of agents with specific tasks helping us do more than what we can. There'll still be functions and specialties, but I think you will have AI agents and these multimodal, tech which will help drive us, drive these functionalities, right? So it'll be less about execution, more about intuition, more about curiosity, and making and kick-ass ideas.
Interesting, because you talk about marketing not being a department anymore in a few years, which means that, do you believe that the very like classic organization in a company today, where you have the CMO and the marketing team, CFO and the finance team, do you believe the organization is adapted or not adapted at all to the change? Like, you see a shift there, I believe, from what you're saying.
Absolutely. So we've already seen a shift happening in the last few years. If you've seen the CMO and CX roles, the lines are blurring, right? So who owns the customer? Is it the CMO or the CXO, right? There is a lot of lines blurring there, which essentially means that the expanse of the CMO is widening. It's not just about the customer; it's also the product.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of categories where product is the experience, right? So, and with the dawn of AI and it becoming everywhere and around us, I think it becomes more and more visible that we will see a lot of that happening, where the CMO will be responsible and accountable for the product and the customer.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I see it. So yeah, I think that's where we are going.
Yeah, very interesting. And do you think CMOs today, because you've been yourself in marketing teams, you've been working at the agency side, on the brand side, and now you're working in AI consulting, but you're basically doing like all the roles in this last 20 years. So do you think the CMOs in general, no need to give names, the CMOs are actually ready for this shift? Or do you see any blocking points? For example, like, I actually meet a lot of CMOs. I see some of them saying, okay, like tomorrow, so we went from like marketing, like classic marketing, then digital marketing, we have influencer marketing, tomorrow it's going to be AI marketing, and we need to go full speed into this. And then you may have others that don't really believe that we should put too much AI. Like, do you see how ready are the CMOs actually?
Yeah, that's a typical shiny new object syndrome, right, Margot? So I think we, as marketers, we're always guilty of getting swayed by what's next, right?
Yeah.
Which is evidently so,
Of
because we are curious enough. We need to latch on to what's next right now. But at the same time, besides the shiny new object syndrome and the hype around anything which is new, it's important to go back to the basics and the fundamentals to say what are your objectives, right? So despite now being in charge of AI consulting startup, I always wear a marketer's hat to see everything from a marketer's and customer's lens, to see what is essentially the customer needs and wants are. And algorithms can come and change, but the human truths will always remain the same, right? So I think I always believe that. Right now, where things are, I believe that things are still very, very nascent. So if you look at we have a maturity assessment matrix for clients, and where we see it as majority of the clients are between exploring and experimenting, and that's a very foundational level, which is fine because we're still in early stages, and a lot of times we keep hearing that. I think we're just scratching the surface right now as far as AI is concerned. So I think it's evidently so. Everyone's trying to adopt AI. Not being strategic enough, which is what I've been trying to advise to clients and customers, to see how they can be more strategic, to build AI in the roadmap and integrate it within their systems and workflows to drive efficiency and productivity in the long term. So
would you say that the main gap is actually around being conscious of the fact that you first need to set up the basics in marketing or in general before jumping into AI, and a lot of people would be like focusing too much on like the shiny tech, but still like there is still a bit of a gap on understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's the way to go, really. With any new thing, you got to experiment it. So you got to start small, learn from it, and then scale it up and see what works, right? That's the classic way of doing it. And that's what we've been doing with all things digital, right? How do you test and scale it? With AI as well, what's happening, and it's because of really early stages of AI evolution, is the fact that it's been treated like a science project. It's been treated like a pilot, which is great to start with. But then, how do you embed AI, and in your systems and workflows? How do you see it driving tangible outcomes? That's what, unfortunately, a lot of people have seen it, right? So, and that's what needs to change. And that maturity will come over a period of time as the technology evolves and we see new tools coming up every single day, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like a dinner party conversation.
It's actually,
what tools are you using? And a bit like Netflix shows, right? So
and it's complicated to keep the pace, actually.
Absolutely. So I think the point is to then go back to basics and say, okay, it's not about let's what the new tool is. It's about what's the use case? What's the gap you're trying to fulfill? What's the challenge you're trying to address?
And actually, perfect transition for my next question, because at Takumi, your focus is to actually support clients in implementing these AI solutions. So I know you do, for example, you work with AI agents, you work on personalization. You can tell us a bit more about the type of projects. For you, what are the use cases that are actually already showing some impact, some ROI? Because you just said it, it's all about tangible outcome. It's actually very difficult to measure the impact, and it happened yesterday, like it's very new, so it's very difficult to measure the impact. So what are for you the most promising, if you had to give one or two very promising use cases for marketing teams?
So I think in terms of technologies, so Takumi, we look at the full expanse of different AI practices. But I think that's later, once we obviously develop a full audit and assessment of where the AI maturity are, identifying gaps and then developing a strategy which involves a short-term to medium-term to long-term roadmap and seeing what we can deliver quickly. Within the practices, obviously, we have Gen AI, creative strategy and automation. We have agentic AI for marketing. We have marketing automation within the ecosystem of all things marketing. And then we have personalization, we have MarTech, etc. What I believe are the places which can deliver quick wins are, first of all, creative automation. I think I think we, as marketers and working with multiple agency partners, there is lots of opportunities there to streamline that process from research and planning to ideation to content creation, and then pushing it to your campaigns, performance marketing, etc. So I think there is a big opportunity there, which can really deliver a lot of value. And then the other one is agentic AI, right? So I think we've been talking a lot about that. My focus
is the buzzword of the moment.
Absolutely. But then the clear use cases there. The Google case studies recently and the research report has shown that agentic AI actually has got a lot of strong ROI for clients. I think it's a very strong number. So you hear these reports and these are very encouraging. So I mean, depending on the use case, essentially within the marketing ecosystem, either it's from lead qualification to actually running tasks for you to run those campaigns autonomously for you. I think agentic AI has a lot of capabilities and potential as well. And in the future, as we said, right, you'll probably have agents talking to agents, and then you'll probably have people doing more what people should be doing, which is more critical thinking, right? So
Nice. And can you just explain, because I like when we explain a bit in details for people who may not be really in touch with any AI or technical topic, but what you mean by creative automation or by like AI agents. So that's a topic we cover in a lot of episodes, but it's always good to remind a bit what it actually means to look into AI agents for marketing.
So with marketing, we have certain processes and workflows. So imagine this whole process where we create something from scratch, like let's say a master creative, which from scratch with an agency, and then we need thousands of different variations of it. For different audiences, for different platforms, for different walled gardens, right? So they all need their own, and also with different variations of it, different messages, and then try and A/B test it in a way which helps us drive efficiency, and then optimizes it towards the outcomes, whether it's CPC or CPM or CPL, depending upon the objectives. And then, so what AI agents would probably do is essentially take the manual out of it and self optimize it for you, right? So basis certain objectives and rules which we apply on, and models which are applicable, they will do it for you, whilst you can focus a lot of your brain power into developing better quality campaigns and then thinking around it. So I think that's the AI agent use case. From a creative automation perspective, it's about how do you create, content, personalized content at scale, right? I mean, and something we've been talking about from the DCO times, right? So
that's exactly I was thinking about the
absolutely. So we've been doing it with the power of AI. You cannot just about scale content. You can actually create content to your spec, and that's where the craft of prompting comes in, right? So the craft of prompting is the new age behavior which all creatives, right from people like ourselves to actual creatives, can use it. And but there's a lot of nuance in that, right? And that's where AI is really, really powerful.
Yeah. It's funny that you talk about DCO, because a few years ago, I remember when you wanted to do a DCO campaign, it was basically a huge Excel file just for people to have in mind what it means. But basically for each like audience, you had the link to the creative, the message, the CTA, the template as well. And you had like hundreds and hundreds of variations, and you had to change them manually. Like it's definitely not something in which any human is actually adding value. So it's good that you can actually automate it. You will, with AI, you can have less mistakes. You can react way more quickly. Absolutely. So it's, I'm not surprised to hear that this is one of the first use case that you'll put in place if you want to have impact. Okay, interesting. You just mentioned, so we talk about creative work that is like more and more automated. Where do you see in this creative world? And as humans, we define ourselves as creative people. So it's a very tricky question. So where do you see in all these creative processes the human still adding value?
I think what this means is essentially as marketers, we need to redefine who we are as professionals, right?
Yes.
So the role of marketers is also significantly changing, right? We keep hearing about this term AI generalist, which requires a lot of upskilling. And so AI generalist is someone who has a deep proficiency in AI tools and technologies and can turn those into solving complex business solutions. That's what AI marketers, AI ready marketers need to do. And that's the shift, right? That's the upskilling. That's the, and you do a lot of that, right? So in terms of AI education, so you've seen it. I think that's the upskilling which we need in marketers of today, because as I said, AI is not going to replace marketers. It's AI, marketers who are not using AI are at the risk of getting obsolete, right? So in terms of people getting scared of AI, I think we have to understand that it is not just a tool to replace you. It is a teammate. It is a co-pilot for you to do your role or your task better.
Yeah.
So the moment you see it as augmenting you as opposed to replacing you, that changes the whole conversation.
Yeah. But then how do you think we can keep still creativity alive? Because obviously AI is a great, and sometimes it's very surprising, like where you can give like a campaign brief and get crazy ideas that you never thought about. But like, how can you make sure you keep creativity alive when you use AI tools?
Yeah, I think we have to understand that creativity is about perspective. It's about curiosity. It's about intuition, and I think those qualities are more important than ever.
Yeah.
So reframing it in today's AI world, if you leave the execution and the delivery and the quality to AI, you can put more time on these things, right? So the critical thinking parts. And I think that's what we need to focus a lot more on. Gone are the days where you were spending the maximum amount of time on executing and not thinking. Now it's the flip side of that.
Yeah.
You have a lot more time focusing on that. And I feel like, this is a time where, AI will turn marketers from content creators to,
Yes.
I would say, context curators, right? So AI gives us content. We need to give context back, right? So otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out, right? And we're seeing a lot of that, the kind of material where people are like, okay, but the quality is not that great. Again,
Not yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a lot to do with the way it's used as well, right?
Of course.
With the way you prompt it, the way you frame questions, is a lot of nuance required in that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you do that well, then the quality which you are getting, which I'm getting, will be starkly different.
Yeah. I made this, we did a test with one of my clients in beauty recently, and I was testing a runway, the tool that you can animate pictures with runway. And we took a picture, it was a lipstick, and we were like, okay, let's make it melt. And I was like, try something. And we were trying, it was the start of a training on how to prompt properly for AI in creativity, design, etc. And people first they were like, okay, make it melt, it should be red, blah, blah, blah. And the melting was coming from the top. And then after, honestly, it took a lot of time. Everyone started to understand that it was actually not that easy. And if you don't think about all the possibilities that you need to, okay, if I want actually the melt to come from this place, I need to say it. Like the tool can't guess what's in your head. And it's actually very difficult. And it was such an amazing test because they were like, oh, but it's so easy to use. And we just drop the picture and it comes with whatever I have in mind. And that's not how it works. So yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. It takes prompting skills. It takes a lot of understanding as well on like the angles, sort of having the mindset of a videographer or photographer or whatever.
And there's a technique to it, right?
Yeah.
So as you
It's
know,
not
there
magic.
are multiple prompting techniques which people use. And constantly you have to keep iterating to get what you want.
Yeah.
And that's what delivers a lifelike quality vis-a-vis something which is substandard and something which is just output. Yeah.
And but what do you think about so let's say, for example, I was talking about beauty, but if you look at like the luxury or the retail world, they still, and it's great, they still do like shootings for campaigns, etc. And we say more and more, okay, we're not gonna do photo shoots anymore, we're gonna do everything with AI. So what are the like practical and ethical things to keep in mind about this?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I think we need to expand our imagination and authenticity, right, through AI. Not replace reality, right? Reality will always be reality. There is a balance which we need to have. So don't think AI can anytime replace the real reality. But then, as long as AI expands imagination and creates authentic experiences, that's what really matters, right? The fact is, now with AI, there's a level playing field, right? So,
Yeah.
because of democratization of the AI tools, a small brand vis-a-vis a big brand, right? So, I think with the disproportionate budgets, right? So
Yeah.
now it's a level playing field. A small brand, a startup, can now deliver, a quality of content which matches the big
Yeah.
guys as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. It is, and the small guys will never have the budgets to shoot in
Yes,
foreign
of
locations
course.
or
Yeah.
probably shoot in Antarctica or
Yeah.
any other exotic location, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is offers. But I understand. It is about imagination and not so much about replacing reality.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And so if we keep this example, there are many companies that are at the stage of testing these AI tools.
Yeah.
So it could be testing the implementation of a specific tool, or just testing, like you were talking about AI agents, but just testing tools, but not yet scaling it. For example, for the shooting part, they'll be like, okay, let's create some social media creative
Yeah.
to start with, but let's not replace the whole shooting part yet, etc. What does it take to actually go from the testing part, the POC stage, to the scale? Because recently a lot of studies came up. They say like, okay, most of the AI projects actually fail. They don't show results. So what does
Yes.
it take to actually go to the scaling with success?
So I think first of all is using AI not just as a tool but also as like a teammate. So if you talked about AI agents, right? So you think of AI as a teammate. I was almost like a strategist within your team, which helps you deliver these solutions and makes your task much more efficient and productive, right? I think that's the first thing. The second thing is the trust and transparency linked to it, right? So, you can ask teams to play around with it, experiment with it, but then see what it delivers, right?
Yeah.
And compare with what was being delivered before, right? And if you see the outcomes as positive in terms of whatever the KPIs are, if it's in terms of engagement, if it's in terms of campaigns which are performing better, I think that's the way to justify you scaling it up further, right? So we talked about testing, learning, and scaling up. So I think that's the way to do it, right?
Yeah, it's always
At
the
the end
same
of the day,
process.
if anything which can be measured and can be improved, I mean, and if it's AI related, then why not, right? So yeah.
And don't you think it takes as well a sort of a sort of positive ecosystem? For example, when we I think you were in this as well when you were working in marketing, probably at Ragbank or
Yeah.
even before. You were setting up, let's say, dashboards or data projects. And when I was in consulting, we were providing this to the clients, and the challenge was, okay, I can provide the best dashboard, but if you don't have the team that can adopt it, if you don't have the IT or the data guys that can actually maintain it, etc., it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
So it's the same for AI. You come with a great product, but it takes a lot of it takes a great ecosystem to make this product survive and live and
Yeah.
be maintained and evolve, etc. So what do you think it actually takes? What type of roles are key at your clients
Yeah.
to make this a success?
I think it's a classic example of building readiness for something like it, right? So they might show an appetite, right? As teams,
Yeah.
you have an appetite for something which is new and adoption. But guess what? Before the adoption comes the upskilling and the education of actually telling them what it does, and
Yeah.
then hand holding them to making it happen.
Yeah.
I think that's quite important. That's where the adoption of AI comes in and starts seeing as a not as a tool but as a teammate, which a co-pilot which can help you
Yeah.
do things much more efficiently, right? Because if it's a graphic designer or creative person in your team or a digital marketer, it can free up a lot of their times to do things more strategic, right? So a graphic designer can be more strategic in the ideation. A digital marketer can be more strategic in the way he plans or he or she plans campaigns. But I think more importantly, view AI not as a campaign, but as a capability, which can be embedded across different use cases. And then use cases are n number. I think the easiest way is to spot a task in your team, which is a pain point, right?
Yeah.
And what really, what really is the gap, and then try and say how can AI, perhaps with automation, can help them, get better at it.
Yeah. So starting with a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And coming with a solution,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I like your how you explain that it's not going to be a tool. It needs to be considered as really maybe not a team member, but more than a tool. Otherwise, it's never going to be really fully adopted. And that's the difficult part.
Yeah, and specifically talking about human versus AI agents, right? So AI agents are essentially autonomous, programs which are running, and the fact that we call them agents itself is also almost kind of humanizing it, because they are going to run tasks for you, and humanizing it only makes them more a teammate than a program or a tool.
Interesting. So talking about humans, actually, how do you see the organization, the way the teams are currently set up? Usually in large companies, let's say, with the CMO heading, like, let's say, digital, e-commerce when there is e-commerce, like all these people, like you will have someone for SEO, someone for media buying, etc. How do you think this is going to change? It's obviously going to change because you're going to have functions that are going to be more impacted than others with AI. So how do you think this organization is going to evolve in the future?
That's a very interesting
question. If I ask
question.
you the question in 1 year, it can be different, but let's
I think there's lots of ways it can happen.
Yeah.
So I think one way is we talk about AI generalist, right? So as a CMO or any senior person in marketing becomes not just a CMO, but also an AI generalist, where he has a broad proficiency of AI tools and technologies, not necessarily being hands-on with all of those, but essentially having those specializations within the team. So you would still need somebody for performance marketing, somebody for SEO, somebody for social, etc. But then what I see changing is that person will be supercharged with an AI agent, which does all the execution roles for them. So let's imagine each specialist within the team is paired with an AI agent, which does those a task or multiple tasks for them. So for social person, it could be someone who actually does content creation to publishing and boosting it for you. For performance marketing, similarly, and then for SEO, you automate SEO and also GEO now for you. So I think, and then so you still are responsible for your own function, but then you are being supercharged thanks to the AI agents. That's how I see. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. I like it, and I think this is coming very soon. It's not a 10 years vision. It's literally the next year vision, probably. And I have a tricky question, but I hear that a lot, and I'm not sure about. I mean, many people have different views. I think it's a bit easy for us because we have experience in a field, any field. And because we've worked in a non-AI world, really. So now we're like, okay, we're going to be supercharged by an agent, so that's fine. But how do you, let's say, someone who listens to us is like a student and he wants to work in marketing. How do you become this person who is able to have, all the manual tasks being done by AI, but is able to have the vision without going through these few years as a junior, doing everything by hand?
So I think going back to the same point which I was making, right, regardless of whether you're junior or senior, right? So the advantage which people who are just entering marketing is the fact that they are in this world, but they have these tools and technologies, right? So at their beck and call, which basically means that yes, you're still gonna do the execution task, but then you have these AI tools at your advantage, right? So but you still need the traits of a conventional marketer. You still need to be curious. You still need intuition. You still need context. That is something you will have to, build or inculcate from day one, regardless of how junior or senior you are, right? So, but the advantage, in fact, I would love to have been born in this age and then entering marketing, because I feel like now.
Interesting.
Yes, because there are lots of things which were not present and available in our times, which there are. which basically means that there's lots more to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And it puts a lot more focus on the thinking
Yeah.
and the creativity as opposed to what it was.
Yeah.
Because when I started off in an agency, I mean, majority of your work was
The famous 80, DCO Excel file.
Yeah, 80-90% execution and then
Yeah.
10% strategic. And then obviously as your role grows, then you apply more strategy into what you do. But then now it's a case of, okay, you got to start thinking first anyways. Yeah.
It's a very, very good point. Okay. Very interesting. On a more personal basis, maybe what is so obviously you work in an AI startup now, so I'm sure you are aware of everything that's happening in AI. What's the most exciting news or the most exciting AI capabilities that you are watching for the next 12 months, let's say, for the next year? Something you're expecting?
Absolutely. So I think I feel the most exciting thing I see around is this whole convergence between the physical world and the virtual world, and they call it let's say phygital AI, which they've been trialing out in China, etc. So this is I think this is going to be quite a thing. I don't know how much of scale it will potentially have, but this is what excites me a lot, where AI suddenly comes out of the virtual world and starts becoming part of your physical surroundings. I think that's going to be something to watch out for.
For a marketing leader listener, what will be the right first step if they want to actually go into AI? What will be your recommendation?
So I think the simplest still would be to adopt AI is to start small and look at certain opportunities within the team. Again, it all starts with understanding where the gaps and challenges are. And then to address those gaps and challenges, you bring AI to deliver on that. Again, starting very, very small, but starting with a clear purpose and goals and outcomes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes a gimmick. It becomes a project and something to tick the box on.
Yeah.
But you start with a purpose and a vision, then it becomes a certain, direction, right? So I think clearly starting small, learning from it and scaling it up, I think that's a way to go.
Yeah.
And it's not just about using keywords and prompts, but I think it's really about sort of AI literally feeding humanity into AI. I think that's what I would say, right? So we spoke about garbage in, garbage out, right? So I think a lot of brand owners get a little jittery when they talk about AI learning about the brands, right? So I think the point is the more truths, the more values of your brand you feed into AI, the more it will learn about that. Because I think we need to stop, asking AI for content. It needs to ask for what sort of emotions you want to evoke amongst customers, and that's where it gets really, really magical. And that's where the art of prompting comes in. What you're feeding the AI becomes more and more important. So again, going back to the point is try all of that, experiment with it, which is the first fundamental stage, right?
Yeah.
You need to explore, experiment, and then you need to start scaling it up. Unless you do that, I think then that's the easiest way of adopting AI.
Yeah. And so what makes you that optimistic about AI in marketing?
Well, besides the fact that I have a business which
that it has to work.
Margot, I think I really, really believe this is a disruptive force
Yes.
in our times to come. I think probably the most disruptive force we've seen, and very, very, very interesting times. And as I said, we're just scratching the surface over there. So lots more to see, lots more to evolve, and with the way things are. And I think that's where it can be a little overwhelming. At the same time, it can be, there's also so much of fragmentation happening. And which is why I think it's important for marketers to understand that, besides the hype, besides the noise, there is some value to it. And the value can already be seen. And I think it's a matter of time before it gets into the, disillusionment stage of the hype cycle and then starts showing up some real value, which is not very far.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's okay to just take a step back, breathe, look into your problem, see where
Yeah.
you can find an AI solution. But I think it's very overwhelming, as you said, to have all these tools coming up every day. And for someone who's not been in this field before, which is the case of 95% of the population, it's very, very scary. You see tools everywhere. You think everyone implemented it everywhere as well. I see so many people, they think competitors are completely AI driven, but everyone struggles. So yeah, I think it's a very good tips to be like, okay, start with a problem, start small, start seeing value, then you scale. It's going to take time, even if it goes very, very fast around us.
Yeah, and that's what we're at Takumi. This is our approach: is we're trying to sort of handhold marketers into doing that,
Yeah.
and then but ensuring they have a clear vision of where this can potentially go. If it doesn't, if it experiment and if it doesn't work, that's not the end of it. It's about using something, learning, and then coming out in a much more confident approach in the long term. So I think clarity, confidence, and comfort is very, very important for marketers to be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I think it was like, honestly, we learned a lot from this discussion. I wish you a lot of success with Takumi. I know it's the start of a new adventure that I believe a lot into. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.